All right, so it's 7:03 locally, 8:03 for most of y'all. Tonight, we are joined by Jorge Rodriguez. He is a community-oriented emergency management professional focused on disaster preparedness, all-hazard planning, and effective coordination between local agencies and organizations. He's a strong advocate for outreach and engagement opportunities between the general community and local government. He is currently the Community Alert and Warning Coordinator for the County of Sonoma, California Department of Emergency Management. His experience includes working for the County of San Luis Obispo and as a public safety dispatcher for the University of California Merced campus. So Jorge, he is also, I should say, a CEM and with the IAEM. And he has the California's OES emergency management certification. So Jorge, welcome this evening. Thank you for joining the Penn State IAEM student chapter tonight. Jorge got his CEM about a year ago in October. Jorge, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your journey into emergency management to begin with, and where you are today.
Yeah, thank you very much, JD, and good evening, everyone from all over the country. Very honored to be speaking with you today. Just as JD mentioned, I'm currently with County of Sonoma, California, here in the Northern Bay Area. But my emergency management, if I look back and think about it, really started way back after, shortly after high school. I was in community college, working as an AmeriCorps person, and as part of that program, we had to take the CERT training, and we had to become CERT trained and certified in that front, and be part of a team during our time within the program. And that kind of was the initial start to it. And as I was going into college, originally I wanted to be in law enforcement and become a police officer. But this thing of emergency management just popped up, and it kept coming through as I was going in my studies. And you just, as life sometimes has it, has different plans. So I got the certification in public safety dispatch with California Post, the Peace Officer Standards and Training, and I was a dispatcher for about 6 years there at the UC Merced campus with their police department. During that time, I got my bachelor's degree from Union Institute and University, based out of Ohio, in emergency management with a concentration in public administration, and working in or shortly after receiving that, I went over to the County of San Luis Obispo in the Central Coast and worked with their Office of Emergency Services for about 6.5 years, and now here with Sonoma County about 1.5 years. So it's been a long journey to get to where I am, but it's not one that I would say didn't have its rewards and its definite just opportunities to be here. So again, and I'm grateful to be with all of you this afternoon.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's basically how I got into this. I'm changing careers, midway through my professional life, but I got into this through CERT training. So it's interesting to hear you say that. I started mine in Dallas, when I was there. What kind of challenges did you face, as you were going from CERT to dispatch to where you are today? What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced?
I think personally for me, it was that, am I doing what I need to be doing? What I would think the right way is. Sometimes I felt that I had the imposter syndrome type of feeling, where it's like, who am I trying to do this during a response, during an emergency, telling people that this is what's going on in a disaster, and depending on the role that I have during that incident, coming from childhood in Central California, as a first generation from a single parent household, first generation high school graduate, college graduate. It was navigating that piece into the kind of the professional world that we go into. So that would be, I guess, a big personal challenge that I've navigated through. But on the professional side, it's really ensuring that the connections that you make are for the greater good. And there are relationships and networks out there, connections that one might make that just ramp you up and just pull you forward. And so finding those people and kind of being open, in order to make those connections was also another challenge, and it's one that I've worked on over the course of my career to be more open and to be more connecting and be able to talk with folks. So this opportunity, I wouldn't see myself doing it 2, 3, 4 years ago, but through working through that, I think has been one of the rewards from those challenges.
Have any tips and tricks on effective networking? Online? Is it personal? Is it face to face? Is it conferences? I mean, what works? What has worked for you?
For me, it's been the face to face. Yeah, one of the things I've learned along the way is that face to face kind of really solidifies it. And if you're able to meet somebody out for a cup of coffee every once in a while, it just kind of hones that in. So when you find yourself needing something, or when you just need some support, or you need somebody to do something for you, you have someone you can call to get the work done. And I found myself as somebody in emergency management to you gotta get the work done.
Is that how you found your current position with Sonoma? Was it through somebody, or was that through a job search, or how did you get your current position?
Sure. So in a year and a half ago now, so last year, or in 2019, Sonoma County had a large wildfire here, Kincaid Fire, that started early October, and it kind of necessitated an evacuation of 250,000 people at that point. And I came up here from San Luis Obispo County through California Emergency Management Mutual Aid, or EMA, and I worked within their PIO section for about 2 weeks, doing bilingual PIO duties and job tasks. So I kind of had a familiarity of the area, and went back to San Luis Obispo and did my work. Started doing similar type work during the response to COVID late or early on in 2020, and Sonoma just had a position open that kind of was able to link with, specific to community alert warning. They wanted to beef up that division within the department. It's something that here in California, not many counties have their own coordinator within that function. So being able to come in and build something, not necessarily from scratch, but kind of build something that's more direct to own, but not something that other counties have, was interesting. And because of the work that I had done here just 6 months before, coming up during the Kincaid fire, I think that kind of gave me the leg up. So, having those opportunities to go out, like I said, and meet people and get the job done. You never know what might happen. And certainly I didn't see myself leaving San Luis Obispo County and the Central Coast to come up here to Sonoma shortly after being in the area in response to a fire.
Wow. I tend to, just for everyone else, I tend to rapid fire a lot of questions. So if anyone has any other questions, please cut in. Don't hesitate. So in your progression, how early did you become an IAEM member, and how did that help you?
Yeah, with IAM, well, in California, I should start. California has its own association of emergency managers, and shortly after being hired in San Luis Obispo County, I joined the association with CISA, California Emergency Services Association, and wasn't really an active member. There wasn't really a lot of things that we as an office in SLO County were doing to be that active membership. But really, it was through a new manager who oversaw the office, who plugged us into IAEM, that it really took off. Once we were plugged in, I was able to go to the conference in 2019 down in Savannah, Georgia. So that was my first experience with IAEM, and was able to make great connections there that I still have now, and that have seen the progression I've done over the last couple of years. And it just seems to be plugged in is one of the great benefits to be able to network and connect with folks who are doing things not so much for the community, but they're doing it kind of within the whole discipline and moving things forward as a discipline of emergency management.
Big difference in activity between IAEM and CISA?
They both have their pluses. CISA, of course, is more central to California, so not many folks are able to travel out to IAEM related stuff. So having the opportunity to go to the 2019 conference was great. But with both of them having their own conferences, sometimes they overlap in the past. This year, CISA was in the spring in a virtual setting, of course, with COVID. But it's a really good experience to go out and be a part of that larger group, because international is international. You're meeting folks from across the country and across borders. So,
outstanding. Anyone have any other questions so far? So your CEM, did you start with the AEM and go from there, or did you dive right into going for your certification?
I dived right into it, and
okay.
I started the process it was early 2019. I felt I was ready. I felt I had the experience, and in looking at the requirements, was able to meet those. And I was fortunate enough, and through IAEM specifically, I was able to be a part of a FEMA cohort. So FEMA paid for the exam, they paid for the application review. So yeah, that's a couple $100 right there in savings that you have, as a benefit from being an IAEM member. You have that opportunity to take advantage of those grants, and I was able to get into that cohort. COVID really kind of pushed things out, because we, as part of it, we were going to do a in-person prep course at the IAM headquarters, but COVID kind of put that out initially there in 2020. So the process kind of stalled some, but the application, I was able to get the application in. They had a good framework to do that, and some tips and tricks as part of that cohort. And there's quite a number of us who, on our own, not so much as a classroom setting or as a group setting, but a number of us who were a part of that initial program.
How long did you took the exam? How long was the studying for that difficult? Was it just part of your natural work already, or how was the exam?
Yeah, I'm a very stressful test taker. So when it comes to tests, yeah, I thought it was going to be, I think, just more added stress on my end. So if there's anything I can give to you folks, is don't stress over it like I did. Being that I had a number of years within an OES office, the emergency management office, already. I knew that there was a lot of that basic stuff, so that kind of the review of those classes that they mentioned in their suggested or recommended studies, able to do that. And there's others that I didn't know about specific to the questions. So it really is a holistic view, but the test itself, it is, if you don't know emergency management, if you don't know, the basics, start there for sure.
Right. Did you have so if you were part of a cohort, did you have a mentor that was for the cohort? Did you have a mentor that was just, individual for you, or did you have a mentor at all for the process?
It wasn't a direct mentorship, but there was somebody who was overseeing the cohort that we could just relay with and have a conversation with throughout the course, because it was a set time frame between start of the cohort to the end that they wanted the application and the test, and in order to have the certification decision at that point, that's the end goal. Is to have folks come out with the CEM or with the CEM designation as part of the cohort. So that their support was there, but like I mentioned, with the connections that I made from the conference, I was able to make connections with folks who were willing to offer some type of guidance and mentorship. So if I had a question related to a requirement or to one of the little things there in the application, I could definitely reach out to them and
so you knew some CEMs outside the cohort you were in already.
Right.
Awesome. So I guess the big question regarding the CEM, is it worth it? You've had it for a year now. How have you used it? Has it been beneficial to you? How's that been?
Sure. I think, well, for me, I was part of this cohort, and kind of the time frame between receiving the designation to being here in Sonoma County. I started the process in San Luis Obispo, and really Sonoma County didn't know I was in the middle of that cohort piece to it. I couldn't say hey, I'm doing this this cohort program only because we didn't know what COVID was going to do. But I was able to get in a proctored exam. IAEM, I was able to make a proctored exam available, and that was the last thing I needed to do was the exam submission. And shortly after that, of course, receiving the notification that I have granted the CEM. So once you get that designation, I was able to put that into my my signature bar there in email. There is something that shows, hey, especially in emergency management, I think as it's being more exposed as a discipline, as a field now with COVID for this long period of time, there is a little bit more oomph to that to that signature, and there's a little bit more just a little bit more of that just backing to it, saying, hey, I have as a certified emergency manager, this is what the experience that comes with it. This is what that means, and people take it more seriously when you send them an email saying, hey, I need this as part of what I need to do for this project. So you're able to
carry
have
a little
that
more clout.
Get a little more clout, have that little bit more backing to it for sure.
That's fascinating. Any questions from anyone else? Like I said, I just keep rapid firing. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a change of gears, if that's okay.
Shoot.
Would you mind telling us a little bit more about what you're doing with the wildfires right now?
So right now, fortunately, and I'm gonna knock on wood, because if something happens after this call and the county hears about it, may not look right, but right now we don't have any wildfires within our county. We've been fortunate. There was the one here just earlier today that was a structure fire that went into vegetation, and it did necessitate some evacuations. So if you look back and you search Sonoma County fire 2017, 2019, 2020, you'll see that some of the fires that we've experienced over the last few years have been quite large. They've consumed a lot of acreage. There have been, of course, structures lost, and in the 2017 fires, unfortunately, the loss of life in our community. So, being that we've only had one or two incidents that since I've been in the community, but my specific initial role is that of community alert and warning, and getting the messages out to the community that there's a fire going on. They either need to evacuate or prepare to evacuate. And being bilingual, I'm able to do that in both English and Spanish. So there's been a lot of lessons learned from those initial fires in 2017, as well as 2019. Like I mentioned, being in Sonoma County in 2019, had that background of what that response looked like to change the processes that we have now, in ensuring that we have messages going out in both English and Spanish, having them formatted so that they include all of the consistent information between the different platforms that we use, both in our mass notification, as well as using the FEMA IPAWS systems that go out through the wireless emergency alerts and the emergency alert system. So that's my primary focus, my primary responsibility in those initial hours of a fire incident. Now, as it progresses, and in most cases they have, it turns into being more of an EOC coordination or EOC coordinator role within the EOC to support those who are in the EOC in doing their jobs. So it's ensuring that the EOC folks have what they need to do their job. So our role takes on that piece. If there's a need and we have a short staffing or we don't have the personnel available just yet, it could be plugged into the plan section and either doing or leading the plan section or doing situational status advanced planning. So it really depends on where the gaps are in terms of the response, and we can I can get plugged in at into any of those different roles, different positions.
I have one if nobody else has. All right, so we've got students that are, some of them are changing careers, some of them are kind of just getting into, like getting out of college and starting their career. So we've got people at all different stages of their career. So I know that this is kind of a hard generalization, but if you could give like a really good starting piece of advice, or something that you wish that you knew back when you started, when you were talking about being in community college, and I know that things kind of changed and you ended up on a path that you didn't anticipate and it all worked out really well for you. But if you could go back and give yourself some advice, what would it be?
I think to put into general terms, it's keep stock of those things that you do. So, and I say that because during the time in between getting my bachelor's and getting into emergency management, there were volunteer hours and volunteer programs that I managed that I really didn't put down a pen and paper what those were. And that was something that could really help with the CEM or AEM, or really even any application within emergency management or any position, and that you're able to lead or manage something, and having that detailed background and having those examples is something that I think or something that I should have done and wish I had done, because I would have a more of a record of everything that really I had just accomplished during the course of that time, where I thought it really, in the grand scheme of things, was just me just doing some good for the community. So.
Could you expand a little bit on talking about all the volunteering that you did? We've got some people that are trying to kind of get their foot in the door, or they are still like stay-at-home parents, and they're not ready for, or they can't find a full-time job, but they want these sort of opportunities. So where did you volunteer, or where would you recommend looking to volunteer?
I think I think there's most volunteer opportunities, if not any, have at least some connection to emergency management, or even in a greater scope of project management, where you're taking whatever you're doing and you're seeing it through, and due to whatever that accomplishment might be. In my case, for example, I was a program manager, and I led a youth leadership a program. I had about a dozen or so middle school and high school students who themselves wanted to do community service and volunteer hours. So my role was more to provide them those opportunities, and to ensure that what they wanted to do is something that they could do, but also do it so that the organization that we were working with was also a benefit, and would know, we would have an understanding what those expectations were. Logistics, is a part of that. Making sure that you have the date and time. If you have so many kids, you have to make sure that you have transportation for them, and if it's going to be an extended stay, ensuring that you have food and drinks for them. So having that logistical piece set up as well. Party planning could be one of those too, where you have an ICS type structure within the party. If you think about it, because you need to have a date and time, you need to get resources, you need to buy different stuff for that event or party. So those types of little things that one, I think, does on the day-to-day in some way, especially when you're doing community volunteer service, has some relation to emergency management.
In terms of being bilingual, have you found that you get pushed to doing certain responsibilities because you're bilingual, or has being bilingual been just a benefit overall?
It's been a benefit overall, because, like I mentioned, I'm in my role on the day-to-day, I'm the community alert and warning coordinator. So that's my primary focus. And there are response planning operations type work that I do in the blue skies within the department. But because I am bilingual, and I like to do all sorts of different things, and kind of be that jack of all trades, and get involved in different things that the department does, but as well as the county as an organization. So it's not necessarily that being assigned to it does bring more opportunities for me to do more specific work within the community, because that's kind of the focus that that I like to have is to be with folks and doing community preparedness type of events, and speaking directly to them on what we do, how they can get prepared. That way, if we do have an incident like we had earlier today where we're doing evacuations, they know what to do. And they know that if we have an evacuation order, they know it's time to leave now, and what that means to them. So that's kind of the take I have on it. And if there's an opportunity for me to connect with folks, especially having the opportunities now with COVID, having things locked down when I first started with the county, but being able to do that now as we start to open up more and be more in person, I definitely see that as a benefit for sure.
One thing that we've tried to really instill in students coming into the program when they're talking about emergency management is that there's more to emergency management than FEMA. That's kind of where everybody mentally goes. So can you talk about a little bit, like, not to say anything bad about FEMA, but can you talk about some of the benefits for working for like a town or a county or on that smaller scale emergency management, like the more personal community feel?
Sure. And yeah, FEMA, if you have FEMA there, something's big. And of course, we've had the federally declared incidents. We mentioned a few different fires. So, FEMA has definitely been involved during those incidents. But when you're well, for me, looking at the county emergency management and the way we're broken out here in California, the county has that responsibility to ensure that there's an emergency management program within the county or the unincorporated areas. The cities, they're charged and they have their area of responsibility within the boundaries of their city. So when we look at the county as a whole, not only is it just the unincorporated, but you also have special districts in there, which could be utilities, water districts, it could be just any number of different organizations or any other legislative bodies within a county that we all have to coordinate and work with. And it's not something that you would think you would need to do either at a state or at a city level, but it's a county in here in California, the county piece, that you have that connection, you have the responsibility to ensure that in an emergency, disaster knows no boundaries. So we have to have that integrated coordinating point, and that's where we at the county comes in. And just for background, in California, we have the operational area, which is again those legislative bodies within the boundaries of the county line. So we work with special districts, the cities. We work with Cal OES as part of the state emergency management. So we have we're in our own region, broken out the state by its own region, and we have to coordinate with all of those folks, and especially during the day-to-day. So it's not so much that it's just going in and doing the response like FEMA does during those large disasters, but it's really having that coordination on the blue sky days where you can get a lot of the pre-planning done so that when something happens, the response is there and the response is efficient and effective.
So given the current environment, how has COVID affected your day-to-day job?
It's well, when I first started, the county was still in lockdown, so I started my first day or first couple of days in the office, and then went straight out to remote work. So it wasn't a lot of time to meet people within the county organization. It took a little bit to finally meet some of my own fellow coordinators within the department in person. So COVID really has impacted that general routine that I, for one, like of being in the office and just doing the work out of the office and being able to work away from home. And it's different. Here we are going almost 24 months now with COVID, and still being work from home for the most part, but being now having that a little bit more because of the incidents that we had last year, having a little bit more knowing of who's around and who those partners are, has definitely impacted just the normal course of work that we could normally have. Before, I'm sure we'd have a meeting in person with folks from different departments, but right now it's all through Zoom, and we're jam-packed our schedules with meetings from start to finish to the day. So it's definitely different on that front.
What about deployments? Does it, like, you get called out, does that change things dramatically for y'all?
It did during the fires that we had in 2020. The EOC, we planned for a virtual environment. So not that everybody was in the EOC. There were a handful of us who were in person, just because of that in-person coordination that's still needed. It's just done in person. So having the strict COVID protocols in place, it's something new that we still had to consider at that point, making sure that folks were getting screened at the door and having that extra layer of protection for everybody working in person. But the more of the outside roles and support functions were done virtually. Were in other parts, they would be at the EOC as well. So that kind of also changes the way the operation within the EOC is done to support the incident command post out in the field for sure.
Anybody have any other questions? Well, Jorge, do you have any last words of advice for budding emergency managers? Any interesting stories you want to share with us?
I'd just say, if you're going for your AEM, power to you. It's a great. It's not so much even a stepping stone, but it's a great start to your commitment within the emergency management field. If you go straight into the CEM, if you have a little bit more experience, it's part of that process. What I would say is have that documentation with you. Have things that you don't think would apply. It's good to also make note of those. Look at what those requirements are for that supporting documentation. And the test, like I said, don't stress on it like I did. But it is a holistic approach to emergency management, and there's even some things in there that I had to go back and research just to have that more knowledge base and just more education for myself. Whatever path or wherever you land, whether it's going to be public, nonprofit, private institution, the work's is still going to be the same. So having those connections and reaching out, and for certainly you can reach out to me through LinkedIn and social media channels. Making those connections. You never know when you'll need someone who just knows a little bit more. And has that subject matter expertise that you can call on, and they can be there for you.
Fantastic advice. Thank you. Did you put your cert? Did you list your cert experience on your CEM stuff?
I'll have to check back, but I think I made a reference to it in the essay part of it at least.
Excellent.
I think I may have found my my certificates in time to add them to the application, but. If anything in the narrative, right. For sure, just to include them.
Okay. Well, any other questions? I think that's it then.
Before I let you go, and I'm lucky I looked over and found it. So talking about documentation, you got the binder here, the certificates and different stuff in there. So if you have it organized and in one spot, you don't have to go out and look for it or try to find that email with the certificate link or something
that seems to be a theme with the CEMs we've spoken to. They always pull out this huge document, the binder full of all their submittal.
Now, did you put that binder together for yourself? Because or did you didn't submit a hard copy binder, right?
No, it was all done electronic.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Now everything was moved to electronic with IAEM, but it was one of the suggestions from that new OES manager that I mentioned who got us ingrained into or who got us looped in with IAEM, who was doing it himself and just said, this makes it easy to recertify in 5 years, and just having the practice to have everything together in one place. Even if it's not scanned in the electronic copy, where the hard copy is, so you can scan it and use it to recertify. So
that makes sense.
That's a great idea. Okay. Well, Jorge, thank you very much for joining us tonight and sharing your stories with us and your advice. It's been very, very valuable.
Thank you all. Have a great evening and best of luck.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, especially I didn't even think you're getting into dinner time now. So
Yes.
thank you for taking time out of your evening and come talk to us.
Thank you for the invite again. I really, really appreciate it. Really honored. Thanks.
Okay. With IAEM annual conference coming up next month, I will post this on our site and also on LinkedIn. That we will not be having our monthly meeting next month. So for whoever's going to IAEM can be there, or if you're going to participate virtually, you can. What I would like to do is maybe a week before the conference is have another Zoom for whether you're going to the conference or not, this could be helpful. But work on our elevator pitches, our 60-second pitch as to who we are, what we're after, and what our aspirations are, and practice on each other one evening before the conference. I'm gonna work on mine. I'll have it ready, and if anyone wants to get bored to tears listening to it and critique me, that would be great. But I will send out the invite for that here in the next week or so.
And when did you say you were going to do that?
Probably a week before. I haven't figured out an exact date, but I will work that out in the next couple of days, get it on our site, and send out a mailer to everybody.
All right, just stay away from my first Wednesday of the month.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, if that's it, then everybody have a wonderful month, and I will hopefully see y'all again a week before the IAEM annual conference.
Or on October 6th for
Really?
our FBI speaker.
Would that be a Wednesday?
That would be the first Wednesday.
Okay, well, everybody, thank you for coming tonight, and stay tuned on our website and LinkedIn for further announcements.